We've got a Sunday afternoon weather update. Chief Meteorologist Amy Metz with the United Cajun Navy looking at our weather app. You can download this yourself, Cajun Navy weather app. We are looking at areas from Jamaica where there is just a little bit of rain near Montego Bay. We cannot see on this imagery a little shower activity that's more intense, torrential downpours near the Keys. Luckily, that activity is not going to brew into a hurricane. We had a couple moisture plumes that looked like they could have. Meanwhile, we have areas around South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia that are catching a little more activity from a low pressure system. But all in all, we've got quite a bit of dry air over the United States. The Pacific Northwest is taking on a storm right now. So we do see some warnings across North Dakota. That's going to be wind advisories. Dry there, but you can see under here up to 50-mile-per-hour gusts around Jamestown. And from there, it really extends across the entire state into northern Minnesota and parts of Wisconsin. Also, fire weather warning here. This is going to be very dry air in the pink with winds around parts of Montana. And so another high wind warning, also up to 60-mile-per-hour gusts. So we can see a lot of information here. If you go ahead and download this app, you can get a lot of alerts. We can also tell the areas that the United Cajun Navy was working in. We have updates on our social medias that the packages, all the goods, the clothing, and some toys, things that a lot of people needed in the villages, did make it to Anchorage and then to Bethel, where we have some storming going on, so icy conditions. People were able to fly yesterday, luckily, out to the villages to go back to school. We helped facilitate that for some of the families. Now, I'm going to switch to forecast snowfall. It's that time of year. But no, we're not looking for that in Louisiana at the moment like we saw last year, just the Pacific Northwest. You can see the blue there now. So our mountain ranges are going to take in some of that across the Northwest. And really that's about it for this week ahead. Touching in that top right corner, if you're on an iPhone, it would be on the left side. We can open up the layers again. I'll go ahead to the infrared and give an update on what's going on in Jamaica as well. So we can see that pressure system coming into the Pacific Northwest, that it's not over yet. There's actually going to be quite a bit more rain right along the coastlines there. Not unusual this time of year, but British Columbia is going to get many inches, almost a foot, over about a week's span there. So otherwise, what we have coming together here, you can see northwestern Jamaica with some cloud cover. Got a little bit of wind stirring up over some of that damage there as people are working hard to clear the wreckage across western Jamaica. Going to get a little rainfall today on the north side, but I don't expect this to grow very big. It could easily stretch out across Black River, St. Elizabeth Parish. I'll zoom in all the way so you know what I'm talking about, but this is that parish. Treasure Beach got hit pretty hard. And so I do believe that some of this cloud cover will fill in across the rest of the western side of the country through Sunday. Could cause some rain, but these are not torrential downpours, luckily. And in fact, in that case, any kind of particulate matter that could be dangerous, including some of the fiberglass, things that are typically in insulation, some of the dusts that can be bad to breathe in, at least that will get settled down onto the ground if it gets rained out. Now, I had been watching a couple moisture plumes that could have been scares to become hurricanes. Luckily, none of that was not going to be something I would forecast because there was a lot in its way. And I can see now for sure that the moisture plumes that I would have been concerned about now are north of Haiti. I could see they were going to be running into a lot of mountains, adding in wind shear. But otherwise, if it had hovered south of Haiti, this moisture plume, while that batch of activity from the west was passing, that's the kind of ways that we can get some of these spin-ups. And so for now, it's mostly just a big clearing across the United States. That one little low pressure welling up into the Appalachians we see near Atlanta, but taking in a ton of dry air. Anything west of Georgia is so dry that as that drier air is wrapping in, I kept laughing as my family was telling me it was going to rain here. And I live north of Atlanta. And I just let them know, not happening this time. So we see a lot of zonal flow. What that means is from west to east, as the activity near San Francisco, you see that strip of cloud cover going all the way across South Dakota through Minneapolis. That zonal flow prohibits storm development. So we do know that there is a storm off to the west here that's going to be coming into the Pacific Northwest, causing the rain on the coasts. But for the most part, regions like Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, you're going to stay in the clear for the most part here. We don't have a bunch more Pacific moisture coming in like we did since July, since we saw those horrible floods in Texas. It was one after another with the Pacific hurricanes and tropical storms adding in extra moisture. So we do have that batch that had been associated, this one here, with some tropical storm moisture. And now it's actually kind of drying out. You can see it almost evaporating as it gets closer to Mexico and San Diego in the United States. Any of this kind of moisture that pushes up into this next system to the north, which will probably happen over Las Vegas and parts of the desert in California, let's say the Sierra Nevadas, Bakersfield will probably catch some of this. There's going to be some very heavy downpours in there in about 3 to 5 days from now. So we're talking Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you get caught in the rain in Southern California, into parts of northern or western Arizona or southern Nevada, those are the areas where those torrential downpours might surprise a few people. So just understand, as that passes by, that's going to be a hot spot. Other than that, just that storm in the Pacific Northwest is the only one that we're looking for some real activity over the next week. All in all, much easier weather than we've been dealing with. We can see a lot of areas still outlined with small craft advisories around the United States. So all of those are about the same in that they're not going to deter large shipments or large boats, but we do have the small craft advisories with seas near 4 to 5 feet. It says building up to 7 to 8 in this region near Florida. And so anything small, any of your smaller boats, that's what we need to watch out for. Again, West Coast showing you that it's the same kind of conditions, although with their northwest winds coming in, they're looking at 9 to 11 foot seas. Now I've been out there on 30-foot sailboats and 25-foot seas, and so it's doable, but definitely not for those smaller boats. It's not a good time to go fishing on your little small crafts out there. But moving ahead through the week, much easier conditions than what we've been dealing with after all the flooding that we saw from the Pacific hurricane season. Any questions? Go ahead and throw them in the comments below. Meteorologist Amy Metz with the United Cajun Navy.